Remember, same thing applies if you can keep everything together, put this whole assembly in a plastic bag, and that way I don't lose anything, because that can happen. Okay, well, I just dropped a spring inside the tank. Okay, so next time anyone wants to do this, take off the assembly first and then this cap. Hey, what is up, guys? My name is Barnett, and thank you so much for tuning back into the second video of this build. Sorry about the mess behind. We're actually redoing the garage, so if you see any mess, that's the reason why. It'll get cleaned up the next few weeks. But in today's video, I talked about working on the belts, batteries, and brakes. Now, it is true that the belts and batteries are really important to get the bike ready to go, because if you have a bad belt, it'll snap and ruin your whole top end, and if you have a bad battery, then it won't start. But more importantly, that is the gas, and the gas has just been sitting for about 2 years, so if you ever smell bad gas, you know what I'm talking about. So I opened up the gas tank and I was working on the battery, and I noticed this faint smell, and it got worse. So I opened up the gas tank, and man, was that bad. So we gotta make sure there's no contamination in this fuel tank, and we're gonna clean it out. I'm gonna show you guys the process of doing that. And also in this video, I'm gonna tear apart the unnecessary things for the bike. What I have planned for the bike is more cafe racer bare minimum. So all these plastics and everything that's on the bike that I don't need, I'm gonna start tearing down and show you guys what I'm gonna do to the bike. All right, so first things first, we're gonna take off this seat so you'll be able to gain access to lifting up this tank. So that's up. Put this baby on up. Now you'll be able to see that this line is actually the one with the bleeder. Follow the line all the way down, and then we're gonna take that and then empty it all into this tank. You can pour this into a lawnmower or weed whacker, anything you have. It's not bad, but it is bad for the bike. I can't really access any of the lines, so I'm gonna have to take apart this air box. So now that that's out, you wanna cover up your carbs. That's really important that you do. Keep them so nothing else gets in the line. So now that that's off, I now have a lot more access to this line. As you can see that this line goes all the way down here to this red stop, and then it goes right here. I made sure to close this little red line that pretty much stops the flow from the fuel tank to the carburetor. Just an extra protection so fuel doesn't go everywhere. So you want to get a flathead, undo this, and then pour it right into this tank, of which I really hope will stretch. Now looking at this, it doesn't look like it will. But hey, we'll figure it out. It might have to come from here, up on this line up here, which is another difficulty. Man, everything's in the way. We'll figure it out. Well, after a bunch of failing and trying over and over and over, I've realized that there's not much fuel in this tank. You can't really see it in there, but this is really your problem. So I'm actually just gonna undo these lines, do this, and then be able to pour it out. I'm really hoping that works, because this attempt of taking off the line and pouring it in is not really working. So attempt number 2. Now that I know that that attempt won't work, we're going to cover this tank up so I don't get any fuel on it. Actually, to do that, get some tape. Tape on the unimportant parts of a bike. We got some room to play with, and I got the tank covered. Do that. Get my pump. I'm trying to pump it out. Pump it out. Got my pump. We're gonna try to do this. This is your inline. How you can tell is you put your thumb over the line and pull up and push down, and you'll realize that it's sucking on your thumb. So this really isn't the most ideal thing, but hey, we're gonna try it. It does work, except not really. Oh no. So I'll cut back when all this is done. All right, so the actual pumping is done. Majority of the fuel is out of the tank. While that's out, I want to take apart the fuel cap. Take my 4mm, take apart. So we want to take off this lock. I'll be able to degrease that. Remember, same thing applies if you can keep everything together, put this whole assembly in a plastic bag, and that way not only do I have it when I clean it and it'll be all together, but I don't lose anything, because that can happen. Oh, shit. Okay, well, I just dropped a spring inside the tank. Okay, so next time anyone wants to do this, take off the assembly first and then this cap. Don't follow what I just did. Oh. Honestly, this might work. Oh, snap, son. All right, I got it. So for future camera, don't do that again. But I got it out, and so I think we're on to the next step, the next challenge. So these bolts have been sitting here for 20 plus years. They're all going to need some little loving and a little finagling. So if you're taking on any challenge with old parts and you really don't want to pay for replacements, be really careful taking them off, and then cleanse them and coat them if you can do. If you can send them out to something or buy some sort of coating, make sure that these things are like brand new, because it really will make a world of difference, especially to your bank account. All right, so with the old fuel out of the tank, I'm able to take the tank off and put in Metal Rescue. Now, with doing that, you want a container, something to put the tank in, and if you want to save the paint like I do, you want to cover it up like I've been covering it up. Take the extra precautions just in case something does go wrong and something fills over the top. You want to make sure that you're protected for anything. So let's jump into taking it off. I'll show you guys the process of using Metal Rescue and leaving it overnight, and what we're going to do with the rest of the bike when I have the tank off. So with the fuel tank propped up, we're going to want to make sure that we fasten those fuel lines securely with some sort of either tubing or nipples, just to make sure that nothing comes out of the bottom of the tank when you're putting in this Metal Rescue. After that, we took off the tank, which is pulling a pin from the bottom. Really simple. There's a pull pin, and then you pull it out, make sure the washers are there. Last step is to double check everything is released and disconnected, and then finally lift the tank off. Make sure you know where you're going to put the tank, and you want to make sure that you don't drop it or set it down to a place that it's not secure. Oh no. All right, so we finally got the tank off. That really wasn't a problem. We just had to disconnect everything. But when I was taking it off and put it in the little tub I have, I realized there's some fuel left in the bottom of it. So I'm going to take the fuel pump out, and then we'll jump in and putting the Metal Rescue in. All right, so with this top assembly off, I'm able to gain more access to the fuel filter. And then I realized there's more fuel in this little quarter section. Take off this little bolt here and be able to drain the rest of it into a container. Hopefully not get it everywhere. All right, so that's it. A little small little guy. Let's see if we can aim it. Get fancy with that. Look at that. This fuel tank is officially clean. I'm taking out all the fuel, all the old fuel, and now it's time for the fun part. Okay. All right, so now that that's back on, put this cover back on. So with everything prepped and ready to go, it's kind of rinsed out. We took all the fuel out. Let's put in this Metal Rescue and let's see how this works. It is water-based, so if it gets everywhere, we're good. But you really just don't want it everywhere because it's never the best. All right. One container in there. Let's see how it reacts to everything, and we should be good to go. So now with this in the tank, I'll be able to show you guys. Let's see. So that should really take care of all of our rust. It should be covering everything. If you want it sloshed around, make sure it gets covered on everything, and then we might have to buy a second bottle. All right, so with this Metal Rescue in, it's gonna cover up overnight. Shout out to you, Metal Rescue. But with that going, I'm gonna take apart the rest of the spike. So I already got going with this air box. Now this is just really big, clunky, I don't really need it. So I got 2 air filters coming in to cover up these carbs, and then just probably create some sort of battery box here to put the new battery. Quick little time lapse of tearing apart the rest of the bike, and that'll be it for the video. Everything is torn down, taken apart like I wanted to. Wires are exposed, so I'm gonna have a fun time this week figuring out what each wire goes to and what I want to keep and what I want to throw away. I'm turning this bike into more of a cafe racer, so really minimalistic, skeleton-looking bike. So you won't see as many wires as there is here. So that'll be a fun project to figure out this upcoming week. But the tank is being worked on by Metal Rescue, so I'm really excited about that. See how that turns out in about 24 hours when it does its coat. Other than that, next week we really should have this bike running. So I have the new battery here, I have a tank that's being cleaned out, we'll put new fuel in it, the clutch slave cylinder is done and fixed, so I have now pressure in the clutch. I think this is ready to go. So tune in next week. I'm really excited. We're gonna turn this bike over unless there's a big complication that I'm not prepared for. But other than that, I'm really excited for the progress we've made today. Next step, turning the bike over, seeing what I have to work on, if there's any motor issues, which there shouldn't be, hopefully. But yeah, that's it. So thank you guys for tuning in. Check in next week. I'll hopefully have a video up showing the bike and hopefully it's turning over. So thank you so much for watching. See you next time.